Second gentleman Doug Imhoff took about a 20-minute pit stop here at the University of Virginia. These high schoolers at Girl Power Camp aren't just learning about what it takes to be a lineman, they're actually doing it. And for this station, that means strapping up and climbing up the utility pole. To put things into perspective, I'm 5'4" and just about the same height as these corn stalks, which should be around 7 feet tall. There's still a lot of unknowns with this investigation, but police say right now all signs lead to Robert Shiflett taking his own life. Scott Jenkins himself was the first person called to testify by the defense, and he did so in a room packed with his friends and family. Now, to show you that it really is something for all ages, I'm gonna hit a practice putt. Let's see how this goes. Crowd is really fired up right now. I've got a cool ride here. I'm in the Downtown Express. Ride Service claims administration pulled the plug on its tours last August without a fair reason as to why.
I used to come here as a child and play on the playground.
Lorenzo Dickerson is no stranger to Penn Park, or at least the version most of us know, a place to walk, play sports, or golf. What he was unaware of was this part of Penn Park and what lies behind these ropes and just under the surface.
I had never been on this side of the park, had never seen the grave sites or knew anything about the history of this area.
Inside these gates lie the relatives of the Gilmers, Cravens, and Hotops, families who owned the land in the 18th and 19th centuries. But it's what's just outside of these walls we now know are more than 40 unmarked graves, hidden from view, identities lost to time.
It's a stark visual representation of the time that folks lived in and how they were treated, being separated and segregated both in life as well as in death.
It's history Lorenzo Dickerson never imagined he was a part of.
My sixth great-grandfather, Wilson Dickerson, whom would have been here at Penn Park. I assumed that I knew everything about my family historically.
Lorenzo is not alone. It turns out he's not the only Dickerson descendant living in Charlottesville.
I grew up in the 10th and Page neighborhood.
Diane Brown Towns is related to Elizabeth Dickerson Brown, the sister of Wilson Dickerson.
It means a lot to me to have Lorenzo here because it's affirmation that we are undoing the damage that was done.
Lorenzo, Diane, and other descendants discovering their family history has been a long journey. To understand how we got to where we are now, we first have to turn the clock back 4 years before any of this was marked off.
The summer of 2020, we did a ground penetrating radar examination of the site.
Jeff Werner, Charlottesville's historic preservation and design planner, says that was the first big step in determining what they were dealing with.
We saw that 8 to 10 depressions, and the result of that suggests in excess of 40 possible burials.
A team of historians then set off to answer the glaring question, who is buried there?
Experience of segregation, of Jim Crow, of other aspects of where our history has been, have made it that it's been a segregated history.
After years of combing through old censuses, tax records, family Bibles, and other documents, slowly but surely, the past reached out to the present.
And it opens up an entire history of this place, of this locality that has never been told.
Tom Chapman, executive director of the Albemarle Charlottesville Historical Society, says the work sheds light on the deeper roots of the city.
Unless we understand a whole history, then how can we look at ourselves as a whole community?
Through all of that work, living descendants are recognizing their ancestors and sharing their untold history together.
It kind of reconnects the families, right, through in spite of all the separation that was created through slavery in America.
But this story is far from over.
The next steps in the process really is to do an excavation of this space, to pull back just the topsoil.
We're hoping that the forensics will disclose more about their way of life and their way of being.
One step at a time, Lorenzo, Diane, and others are reclaiming the space and memorializing those enslaved who were not given that freedom themselves.
Their space and time was robbed from them. Their free will was robbed from them. They had no personhood, so how do you get that back?
In Charlottesville, Maggie Glass, 29 News. Meet Martha Redinger, gym owner
It's one of those you can do pretty fast.
and world-class athlete. You can find her pumping iron at CrossFit Spark, the gym she co-owns with her husband, as she gears up for her 5th CrossFit Games.
I think I'm going to get there healthy, which is half the battle.
That means no days off, even on her 68th birthday.
Ah, thank you.
The competition is a multi-day series of exercises that are announced right before the events begin.
The combination of functional movements that are constantly varied, that are done at high intensity, or gymnastics, Olympic weightlifting, and then every kind of metabolic conditioning.
No stranger to the regime of being an athlete, Redinger's competitive spirit dates all the way back to when she attended the University of Virginia.
I wanted to run track, but they wouldn't let me because I was female, and they only had men's teams in the 70s. Then I ended up trying out for cheerleading.
Flash forward nearly 5 decades, Redinger has found a new sport.
I just think people can start anytime.
Her favorite part of CrossFit, just being in the gym alongside others.
It's a community feel, you know, we celebrate each other's achievements and take care of each other. Come on, push it!
Redinger says this will be her final CrossFit Games so she can focus on coaching and running her gym, but she has other competitions in mind.
I might do a triathlon again. I used to do those before. I enjoyed that a lot, and that's a little simpler because it's only 3 sports.
Her age group will begin competing on August 29th in Birmingham, Alabama. Maggie Glass, 29 News.